Welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I am your Loremaster, and today we will be continuing with part 2 of our multi-part series on the planes. Last time, we went through 6, plus the Ethereal Plane. You might want to watch that one before coming to this one, as at the very least, for the basic rules I'll go over for each of the planes. This week, we'll be dealing with 2 different categories of planes. The 4 transient planes, and the 2 places labeled as dimensions. This is going to be another full week, so let's just get started. But before that, let's do a quick warm-up topic. No, not a side tangent yet, but this is going to not be as long as the other 2, just slightly. So we have time for a quick topic on how one travels through the planes. The most common way is through the spell plane shift, which requires planar tuning forks. Topics like this are the reason I like looking into lore as much as I do, because I find background like this fascinating, as per part of the reason I'm born to cover it all. A planar tuning fork is made, at least in 1E, no 2E yet, by the crafting of jewelry by someone who also has knowledge of the planes. Then the tuning fork needs to be brought to the plane, or something connected to the plane needs to be brought to it, and struck against the ground, /object, /rock, /whatever. There are also different rarities of tuning forks, depending on how difficult it is to get the specific forks and the requirements of specific challenge ratings for the creature /artifact /mountain phase to be hit. This ranges from everyday common forks, which go to the big inner and outer planes, the ones I'm mostly covering, to uncommon, which goes to specific domains deep in a plane, or more inviting demiplanes, like the Bulba. We are talking about that today, by the way. To rare, places that have very few visitors, like the Herald Realm. Talking about that one too. 2 forks that would be unique, as the plane does not do outsiders, and you need to do ridiculous things to tune the fork, like the dimension of time. I like how I found all examples from today's video for that. Anyway, other methods of planar travel are also listed, including the basic planar keystones, the free pass to all rides known as the Amulet of Planes, the good hitting obsidian steed, and last-ditch desperate measures like placing a bag of holding in a portable hole. Maybe I'll do lore on specific classes of items in the future. As of now, I think this is a good enough overview of what I want to start with. So now with that out of the way, let's get started with the planes. Today's main topic are the transient planes. Planes which are useful when it comes to moving from one place to another, or to quickly go from one location in a plane to another location in the same plane. There are many spells based on using the energies of these planes to move, but the main focus we're going for are the planes themselves. There are 3 of these planes which fit into the list of inner planes, but I think the best way to start today is the big one, the Astral Plane. This plane is the main space used to travel from the inner planes to the outer planes, and between the outer planes with each other. First, starting off with planar traits like the planes we have covered already. The size is immeasurable, essence is mixed, and alignment is mildly neutral. Structure is lasting, though like the energy planes from last week, it does not have much structure to it. Gravity is subjective directional, time is timeless, and magic is enhanced. All of it. As magic in the astral plane is cast as if the user is under the effect of quickened. The astral plane is an open expanse dividing different planes, the only native echoes of previous lives from the material plane. These two massive landmarks do show why this plane is so important. The River of Souls, the line of souls which goes to the boneyard in order to be judged and divided amongst the outer planes, and the antipode, where energy from the outer planes are filtered back into the inner plane to create more souls. There is one deity who calls this area home. Well, two, but one has their own demiplane flowing through the Astral Plane, so they will not be covered this week. Alceta, the goddess of doors, transitions, and years, used to keep her realm in Axis. However, she moved it to the Astral Plane as to give all deities a neutral ground where which to meet. Outside of one noticeable landmark we'll get to in just one moment, the space is pretty empty except for the echoes of the thoughts of beings from across all planes, which is fine most of the time, but where contradictory ideas clash with each other, they can cause storms of contradictions known as civil squalls, turbulent areas of psychology that can only be calmed by settling the argument. But as I said, there is one place in the endless expanse of the Astral Plane that is vast and unlike the rest, enough that I am devoting more time to it. Say hello to our first side tangent, the part of the show where you too may make plans for places beyond where you currently are. Let me tell you about Yogamont. This patch of land is different from the surrounding Astral Plane. Here, as the rest of the plane, time does not flow. However, unlike most timeless planes, going to a place which does have time does not force any consequences as long as you travel from here, which makes it the perfect place to plan to travel to different planes, often being used by a waypoint for plane hopping parties. In addition, also unlike other timeless areas, natural healing happens. Therefore, there is a large market for those who need some serious R&R to rest at some of the plane's hot springs. These two facts combined make this the perfect tourist town. The area is one of the few places one of the native species of the Astral Planes, Soul Sagas, call home, using the area as a perfect place to wait and sense where small demiplanes are about to form, so they can protect them. That said, Soul Sagas hate politics, leaving actual governance of the area to mortals. That is, until mortals try to take full control, or really anything to annoy the Soul Sagas, which results in them being destroyed and a new government put in its place. Next is the Ethereal Plane. Here, time is normal, the size is immeasurable, alignment is mildly neutral, structure is lasting, and again this is a case of whatever's actually here, not extensive structure. Essence is mixed due to sharing the same physical area as the material realm. Gravity is non-existent, all movement being where the visitor wishes to go. Finally, magic is normal with some special rules. You see, the Ethereal Plane is the ghost of our world, appearing as wide open space cloaked in fog, at points being able to see into the material plane. At places like this, certain spells and abilities allow one on the material plane to influence the ethereal plane. However, the opposite is not true. On the ethereal side, all you can do is look. And not just the material plane. The ethereal plane is a shell which touches all of the inner planes, if more so the material plane, serving as the first step for the dead to begin the journey down the river of souls. Or not, many choosing to stay here and more often than not either become an undead or a phantom. This place is also full to the brim ectoplasm, mostly made from strong motions interacting with the fog. The one deity who unofficially makes this plane home is Elazar, the leader of the Night Hags. This is the place the Night Hags found best to manipulate the dreams of mortals, though we'll be getting to dreams specifically later. However, she is not the only deity of the area. The Ethereal Plane is home to many demiplanes, but there is one whose borders blend perfectly into the surrounding Ethereal Plane, to the point one does not know when they cross the border at first. Which brings us to side tangent 2. Xibalba. This demiplane of fear is home to the Shakil, ex-psychopumps who enjoy tormenting souls with their greatest fears. This plane has normal gravity and time, a finite size, structures lasting, essence is mixed, alignment is strongly evil, and all field-based magic is enhanced. A dead rainforest surrounds a black Mesoamerican pyramid, with endless vaults of tortures and fears in a cavern beneath. The pyramid itself belonging to the demigods, the Shakil tormentors. One Edo god calls this region home. Kamazat, the god of bats and fear. He deserves special mention for having 3 divine realms. One here, one in the abyss, and one in the darklands beneath Arcadia in the material plane. Which means that, if I wanted to, I could have mentioned him in all 3 of these videos. But I think this is the best place to mention him. Back to demiplane. Piercing shrieks and whispered threats follow anyone who arrives, as the area slowly works to push the unlucky traveler to the vault where best fits their fears. And one last note before getting back on topic, is that it is actually relatively easy to teleport here. However, the demiplane still continues to torment, often dropping people off this way directly in front of friends and loved ones, for whom they are too late to save. Bouncing back to the traditional planes, the next 2 I talked about last week as being connected to the material plane, but being off-center. Leaning positive, we have the first world, the plane where was the first plane built by the gods, testing out what they want to do with the world they were making before abandoning it to create the finished product, the material plane. This is the world of the Fae, and the gods who made it did not leave it with a set laws of physics. While gravity is normal and the size immeasurable, time is erratic and the landscape can be shaped by someone with a strong enough will. Essence is positive, alignment is neutral, and magic is of course wild, guaranteed as such in some places, high chance of it in others. The plane sits between the positive energy plane and the material plane, and our souls pass through it to be born. Residual energy caused the creation of the Fae, allowing Fae to be virtually immortal, being born in the first world if they are ever killed. Being off-center also allows it to act as a transitional plane, but the difficulty to finding a destination in the first world means it's not the best considered choice on this list. All the gods abandoned the first world after the creation of material plane, so none remain. In their place, the strongest Fae with the greatest power to shape the plane serve as demigods called the eldest. Wow, 3 side tangents and 3 planes. I'm on a roll today. Either way, speaking of the eldest and the first world, this is a good time to mention the Tane. Tane are the strongest beasts created by the eldest to fulfill certain duties. These beasts include the classics like the Bandersnatch and the Juju Bird, along with lesser known names like the Sword and the Trasfire. However, 2 will stand out in today's conversation: the Jabberwock and the Leviathan. two most powerful of the Tane. The Jabberwock is considered the prototype of true dragon, similar to how the first world is the prototype of the Ethereal Plane, filling in a similar spot in the first world to the plane of dragons we talked about last week. Therefore, it deserves a quick write-up. These creatures are unleashed by the eldest when they desire destruction of the uppermost. While they do collect treasure like regular dragons, they do so in order to lure adventurers to be killed. They have a variety of destructive powers, one of them being burbling, their equivalent to a breath weapon, where they rapidly speak nonsense to the point it causes sonic damage. They also have their legendary rivalry with the Vulpar weapons, many Jabberwock showing them fear, others honored rivals. Of course, even this beast pales in comparison to Leviathan. This beast is a giant whale of mass destruction, sleeping for millennia, but always ready to wipe out entire countries off the map. The reason it is being mentioned today is, surprise, surprise, its stomach is a demiplane. Zanzibar, the city of the spared. This city is a safe haven located in the maze, which is the whale's intestines, ruled by a master woman who may be the personification of Leviathan's regrets. Honestly, don't have that much on this one, but no piece of information is too small. That's what these side tens are. On the negative end of the scale, the plane of shadows. This is the dark echo of our world, many places corresponding with areas in the material plane. Here, gravity and time are normal, the size is immeasurable, essence is, despite how close it is to the negative energy plane, mixed, and alignment is mildly neutral. The shadows here can be shaped by anyone with a strong enough willpower. Here, in the eternal darkness, shadow spells are enhanced, and spells that create light and flames are impeded, creating half as much light. As one would expect, vision is also reduced, being half as far. The native deities are the Forsaken, mysterious demigods who have recently gone missing for unknown reasons. In exchange, the realm is ruled by gods in exile. The first Zon Kutan agreed to stay in the Shadow Plane until the day no light shone upon Galarian. This happened during the Age of Darkness, but he liked the place enough that he decided to move here permanently. The second are the Kaitans, and the Kaitan demigods. The Kaitan demigods are demigods. They were originally imprisoned in hell before the devils took over and re-imprisoned them. After they were freed, they've been in exile in the Shadow Planes, more than ready to hang out with Zon Kutan. Now for 4 main planes of the day and 1 demiplane under our belt, let us round out this video with the 2 transient planes listed as dimensions. Don't worry, we're only about halfway through. Because the first topic is what I like to call the Threefold Dream. I'll get to why in a moment. First, the main reason we are here, the dimension of dreams. This is a tapestry of all the dreams of those asleep. The dimension is immeasurable, mixed, and mildly neutral lined. Gravity varies by dream, time flows at different rates, though 1 day in a dream is typically 1 hour in real life. As one would expect from a dream, the structure is morphic, controlled by those aware they are in a dream, and magic tends to be on the wild side. For the dimension itself, these dreamscapes are not connected, going into a dream or between dreams requiring special spells or abilities. There's not much outside these facts, so this is where we would end this brief mention, if it wasn't for the Dreamlands. The Dreamland is a demiplane so tied to the dimension of dreams that I'd be remiss to mention one without the other. The Dreamland is a dreamscape like the Eddas that make up this dimension, with the exception being that it's made up of the dreams of the Great Old Ones. It is easy to enter through ordinary dreamscapes. There are being several occult rituals used to descend the spiral staircase into the unknown. In a dream where those are turning asleep, many kingdoms exist, but also various nightmarish creatures, including Great Old Ones themselves. Yes, they make their homes in their own dreams, and are awake enough to rule in their Lovecraft. Speaking of nightmares, you cannot have the Dreamlands without Leng. Leng is the nightmare to the Dreamlands, not fully a nightmare. If you go too deep into the Dreamlands, you'll find yourself washed up on the distant shore of Leng. Here, gravity, time, and magic are normal. The size is finite. Structure is lasting, essence mixed. The alignment is both strongly chaotic and mildly evil. The area is a solitary plateau, settled between two mountain ranges. The lapping sea tempting. Here, various nightmare creatures perform cruel rituals which by themselves are enough to shatter the minds and souls of those who witness them. Here, the denizens meet every night to participate in cruel forms of entertainment. The sea has creatures constantly looking for slaves to capture. The mountains have spiders ready to capture and torture anyone who they catch in their territory. And the underground has endless caverns filled with monstrous beings, much more dangerous than their waking counterparts. And finally, those who do climb the mountains, who cross the lands known as the Cold Wastes, will find the castle of Kadath, said to be ruled by various deities, Dark God Nalia Holtep chief among them. In short, do not go to Leng if you ever want to come back alive. So, that is the three parts of the Dimension of Dreams. Should we move on? Or should we do our last side tangent? Years ago, the Viserion Bar collected various tales in the form of heron cards. Worried by the fact that she did not have an heir, she took a piece of the Dimension of Dreams and formed it into a demiplane, the Herald Realm. With this act, all other heron cards outside of her 54 tales lost their powers, and the canonical 54 found their accuracy highly increased. Looking at the realm itself, the realm has no gravity and time, though people do not age. The plane is unbound, structure is lasting, essence is mixed, and alignment is neutral. Teleporting out of the plane and summoning creatures into the plane is limited. The world is obviously fake. A painted dome ceiling, mechanical sun and moon, a stage hidden under the dirt. The residents are all based off of the cards, forced to constantly repeat their tales for all eternity. They do have limited free will, but they are actors forced into a constant performance. One last place to note today, the dimension of time. The dimension that crosses all planes and demiplanes which do not have the timeless trait. Speaking of traits, gravity and magic are normal, size is immeasurable, structure is lasting, essence is mixed, alignment is mildly neutral, and time, ironically, is erratic. How to get to the legendary plane is the rumors of 1,000 legends. There are said to be rare tomes with the secrets, but just as many fail and attract the eyes of the hounds of Tindalos as succeed. And these tomes only allow one to see points within their own past, not before nor any points in your future. Though it should be known that one can be seen in the past, if someone were to cast true seeing or similar spells. And of course, one could alter their own past and get themselves removed from existence. As for the actual way into the dimension, well, only the elder god Yog Sothoth knows, said to be the personification of the realm itself. Really? Though it is said its avatar, Trill Art Amir, is willing to teach the knowledge at a terrible price. Now, that's enough for all the planes and dimensions we are covering today. However, one last topic needs to be covered before we end this off. As mentioned last week, I'll be also covering briefly 3 different categories of true dragons which are related to the planes. This week are the storage dragons. Dragons connected to psychic powers and psychic magic, or called for 2e. Haven't actually gotten these in 2e yet, but educated guess. Speaking of which, we don't have as much on these as the primal dragons of last week, but looking deeper into their individual abilities, we can make educated guesses. So a bit more speculation this week, but I'll make sure to keep it reasonable. First up is the Astral Dragons, connected with the Astral Plane. This is going to be a relatively easy week about that thereabout. These dragons, like many beings on the Astral Plane, started originally as strong thoughts and emotions imprinting themselves onto the world where they manifested themselves. Considering the timeless nature of the plane, they do not age normally. Instead, they manage to grow through an entire full age category as their powers and confidence grow. Or, they leave the plane for a moment to age all at once. Their breath is force-based. I really wish I could give you more on how, but that's all I got. And their inner abilities show that their mentioned attachment to psychic powers, being able to shield their minds and instantly travel by thinking about location. Next is from the Ethereal Plane, Ethereal Dragons. Fingers for dragons, because don't know. These standard ring dragons are the pragmatic hunters of their home realm. Their abilities showing them as soul eaters, doing whatever they can to survive. They also breathe force. Their breath can also separate souls from their body. Their claws and teeth have ghost touch, and anything it eats can only be resurrected using a mythic wish. Also can fly through walls like a ghost. Third, the master dimensions of dreams, dream dragons. These creatures have smoke coming off their wings in almost hypnotic patterns. The breath does electrical damage, but can also put someone to sleep. Their abilities give them 2 ways to travel in or between dreams, the ability to see into any sleeping creature's dreams, and immunity to spells that affect their own dreams. On the other hand, also from the dimension of dreams, we have nightmare dragons. These creatures like to cause bad dreams to make existing bad dreams worse. Like Freddy Krueger, just without the bad sweater. Actually, one of their abilities do make it so their claws are as sharp as Freddy's. Anyway, these dragons often pair up with night hags, helping with their harvest of sleeping souls. Their breath is acid, and its abilities allow it to see into dreams, steer control of dreamscapes, and scare anyone who stands in its presence. Finally, we have what is one of my favorite dragons, the Cult Dragon. 5. These dragons, said to be from the demiplane of the Akashic records, travel into highly populated areas for the purpose of collecting rare occult materials. To do this, they have various abilities. First, the ability to transform into a human form whenever they want, instead of just the typical 3 times a day a dragon normally gets. They can see any aura and tell the price of any object with just a glance. Finally, they can copy any class ability that's needed to use an item. We ended up with the ability to not be detected by divination magic if they don't want to, and the ability to protect themselves from all lawful, chaotic, and evil attacks. And they don't really have much to fear. Finally, their birth map is either fire or cold. It is decided what they are at when they are born, and no reason for this economy has been explained yet. So be sure for /occultic beast today, anyone? And that does it for today's video. Finally finished with the inner planes now. So next is the outer planes, aka the big long video. Probably gonna be the longest episode yet, / longest episode I'm gonna make for a while. So look forward to it.